Hello everybody and welcome back to War Thunder. I'm doing something a little bit different today. I'm going to be doing this as though the PACT countries from Eastern Europe have pushed through the Iron Curtain straight into West Germany and are beginning their push towards the rest of Europe. So that means of course I have to bring out my newly researched and purchased T-55A. So a little bit of background history on this tank. The T-55A was effectively an upgraded, updated version of the T-54 and included a little bit more added nuclear protection from nuclear blasts and radiation and other very deathy things of the same nature. The cannon was upgraded from the D10T to the 2S version, which you can tell the difference of just by the slightly different muzzle on the end. This tank gets sabot ammunition, armor piercing, high explosive ammunition, and of course fin stabilized heat shells, which is something that the T-62 doesn't get. This is the only well, the only main battle tank really of any nation that gets armor piercing high explosive. The British get HESH, which is kind of similar but doesn't really have the same effect. I will be doing a review of this tank at some point in the future once I've got it spaded, although I fear that may take a while. Anyway, first target up. That is an M60A2. That's very bad news. I don't want to get hit by that. And shit, we trade shots. I take out his turret ring and his cannon breech. He takes off my track. I made the mistake of putting this tank on a low-level crew, so unfortunately I've got a 30-second repair time just for one track. I am reasonably well covered behind the wreck of this Panther, although I'm not close enough to it that he can still hit me should he feel like he wants to. Nevertheless, we're going to give it a bloody good go anyway. He's backing off, almost reloaded, and there goes your cannon breech. He won't be shooting back at me for a while, hopefully. Push forward. I absolutely despise ATGM tanks, so I'm going to take cover and use my binoculars to peek above the tank wreck so I can see what's coming towards me. I almost always go down the western side of the map, by the way, on Berlin, whether there is a cap here or not. That is an M103 over there. That's bad news. Things have just gotten officially worse. I'm pretty sure I can penetrate him, but he can also penetrate me. And I can't get a shot at him from here without poking out because the turret on this tank is too low to get the gun barrel over the top of the Panther. So we'll sit here in the hope that some help arrives. I should mention as well, by the way, as for the history of this tank, the T-54s were upgraded throughout their life to become effectively T-55s, having the spotlight on the front and the nuclear radiation protection and the gun stabilizer as well. This tank does have a gun stabilizer, which does work nicely. Although I struggle, I make the mistake of driving along, seeing a tank, and I stop. And I do this in most of my high tier tanks with stabilizers because it never occurs to me, you know, I can fire on the move, I'm quite likely to hit, but I completely forget and I stop, which makes me an easy target, and then I get killed. Which is very irritating, I promise you. So I'm going to help with this gentleman take the cap, get me some lovely credits and experience, which I sorely need at the moment. Granted, I didn't start it, but 80 experience and 980 credits is better than nothing. So I don't remember seeing the M103 in the kill log, so I'm going to keep my eye out here, make sure he's not by any of this rubble. So far, the combined forces of Russia and Germany have done incredibly well. Well, East Germany, I should say. Straight through checkpoint Charlie, and pushing the Americans back rather nicely. We've got one of the caps. We're capturing the B in the centre, but they still hold the Reichstag Parliament building over in the eastern side of the map. For the moment, anyway. This tank feels less mobile than the T-54s. I knew it was going to be less mobile than the T-62 anyway, but it is quite, you know, not very mobile at all. But it's once it gets some speed up, it's fine. It's kind of like the Tiger. People think that the Tiger is slow and immobile. It's not. It's just once it stretches its legs and gets a bit of speed up, it can maneuver and is quite fast for a heavy tank. But this thing weighs about 30 tons, 20 tons less than what the Tiger weighed. And the Tiger is slightly faster once it gets its speed up. Although, bearing in mind, this thing is stock. I haven't even got the tracks yet. So, it probably will improve once I've got the engine modifications and the tracks and a few other bits and pieces. Can't see anything over there.
Attention to the map.
While we're on the subject of the T-62 and the T-55A, by the way, this tank should not be at battle rating 8.3. It just shouldn't. It just shouldn't. Yes, it gets sabot and heat, but so does the T-62. The T-62 gets a longer reload, but that's only because it has a gun that's 15mm bigger. It has a 115mm smoothbore gun. Well, whoop-de-doo. This thing is not as mobile, doesn't have as much armor, although armor is mainly irrelevant when you consider the meta of high-tier games anyway. But the T-62 is just, at least at first glance, I mean, I'll cover this better in my review video when I get around to doing it. But the T-62 is just, it just seems better. It's strange. I don't know why. It seems better. You know, the feeling in my stomach tells me that this should not be an 8.3. It should be an 8.0. At the very least, it should be with the T-54, the T-54 1951 model. But that's my opinion. So we'll take the A point from the Americans. They are losing tanks quite quickly, but then so are we.
Allied forces have captured a zone.
Nice experience and credits there. Not going to bother reloading. Games we've pretty much won at this point. It's almost a certainty. Push around the left side of the Reichstag building. Check my corners. Well, I don't see anything. So, the enemy team are going to lose the last of their vehicles here. I'd like to thank you all very much for watching. I'll let the video keep playing so you can go to see the results screen. Thank you very much for watching. Please like if you didn't, dislike if you don't. That's fine. I accept that. Yeah, and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. I'd appreciate it a lot. Thank you very much, and I'll catch you